Okay, today we will focus on the last of the 5 women in Jesus' genealogy, the most important, Mother Mary. First, let's share about what the Bible share about Zachariah and Elizabeth. Zachariah is a chief priest, very faithful husband and wife, and the chief priest. Zachariah and Elizabeth had God's approval. They followed all the Lord's commands and regulation perfectly. Yet they never had any children. Elizabeth couldn't become pregnant. Both of them were too old to have children, according to Luke chapter 1, verse 5 to 7. So all the providential women, as you know, Sarah, Rachel, Elizabeth, they all had all the blessing except they couldn't have children. And Elizabeth was blessed with a child born very, very late in her life. So much so that the angel Gabriel, appearing to Zachariah said that he will have a son. But Zachariah could not believe it because they were so old. And because he didn't believe it, he could not speak during the time that, for how long, I'm not so sure, but I'm sure quite some time because of his disbelief. According to the angel, he says, your wife Elizabeth will have a son and you will name him John. And John's mission, John the Baptist mission, the son that God bless Zachariah and Elizabeth, is none other than John the Baptist. He will go ahead of the Lord with the spirit and power of Elijah. So this was prophesied that, he will, as the prophecy goes, before the coming of the Lord in Malachi, first Elijah has to come. But here, Gabriel told him that, he will go ahead of the Lord to prepare the way with the spirit and power of Elijah. And he will prepare the people for their Lord. So very clearly, the Archangel Gabriel clearly mentioned about John the Baptist. Yeah, this is an amazing blessing given to Zachariah and Elizabeth. Then this is the prophecy given to Mary. Now, in the 6 months, the same Archangel Gabriel was sent by God to a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin betrothed to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David. So, same Archangel. 6 months, it means that at this time when the Archangel Gabriel appeared before Mother Mary, Elizabeth was already with a child. Okay, she was 6 months pregnant. And having come in, the angel said to her, rejoice, highly favored one, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women. So, true Father has always spoken very highly of Mother Mary, because And the archangel again clearly mentioned that Mother Mary is truly the most blessed among women. Yeah, most prepared. And she was the one that gave birth to Jesus. Yeah, the only begotten Son of God. So it's really amazing when you think about that Mother Mary gave birth to Jesus, the only begotten Son of God. So True Mother has always emphasized that Christian leaders do not understand the essence of Jesus. Yeah, he's the only begotten Son of God. Just as True Mother, Reverend Dunkley emphasized, True Mother said all leaders, all members have to really understand the essence of who True Mother is as the only begotten daughter of God. So you have to understand this is not a simple sharing of True Mother in terms of understanding the essence, yeah? And the archangel said this, Gabriel said this to Mary, behold, you will conceive in your womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Highest, and of his kingdom there will be no end. So clearly, the archangel talk about who Jesus is. Yeah, that he's the Son of the Highest, Son of God, the only begotten Son of God. Mother Mary's response to the archangel was this: how can this be? Since I do not know a man, how can I conceive? That's a question in response to Archangel Gabriel. And the response was, the Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the highest will overshadow you. Therefore, also that the Holy One who is to be born will be called the Son of God. Jesus never called himself the Son of God. You know, he mentioned that he's the Son of Man, and but he was always very interested to find out from his disciple who they think Jesus was, is at that time. But clearly, the archangel Gabriel said he is the Son of God. That's actually Christians really have to not only understand Jesus as the only begotten Son of God, but understand the essence of who Jesus really is in their heart, not just in their head. Yeah. Now, this was 6 months when Elizabeth was 6 months pregnant with John the Baptist. Okay. So you'll find out from here that Mother Mary remained in the household of the Zachariah family for 3 months. And she left the household of Zachariah and Elizabeth before the birth of John the Baptist. But let's see how did Elizabeth, who is 6 months pregnant with John the Baptist, how did she greet Mary when Mary first came to the household of the chief priest of Zachariah and Elizabeth? Okay, entered the house of the Zacharias and greeted Elizabeth. And it happened when Elizabeth heard the greetings of Mary that the baby lived in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit. And this is what Elizabeth testified about Mother Mary as well as the baby that she will give birth to. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. So Elizabeth recognized who Mother Mary is, and also recognize that Mother Mary will give birth to an amazing Son of God. Okay, this is because she was filled with the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And it's stated in verse 56, Mary remained with her about 3 months and returned to her house. There's no mention that Mother Mary was in the household of Zachariah and Elizabeth when John the Baptist was born 3 months later. So the question is, why? Why is it that Mary did not remain in the household of the chief priest Zachariah and Elizabeth? We have to understand that when we look at Mary and Eve, we have to understand that just as Abraham and Sarah was barren, couldn't have a child, okay, until old age. And because of that, Sarah gave her maidservant Hagar to Abraham. And from that, Ishmael was born. Sarah gave her maid to Abraham because God gave the prophecy that his descendants will number like the stars, number like the sand. But then, interestingly, when Sarah was blessed with a son Isaac, when she was very old, she somehow drove out Hagar and Ishmael. We already mentioned about this in the previous presentation. Now we all know that Mary conceived in the household of the chief priest Zachariah and Elizabeth. And Christian understanding is that Jesus was born through the Holy Spirit. If you remember what we read just now, the Holy Spirit will cast a shadow, because Mary asked, how can it be that I will give birth to the Son of God when I don't even know a man, when I'm not even married? But it was in the household of the Zachariah that Mary conceived. During that 3 months, she was in together with Zachariah and Elizabeth. But Mary did not stay for long. After 3 months, she left. We know that there must have been a very unique situation here where she probably was cast out, just like Hagar, when Elizabeth found out that it was God's will for Mary to conceive through her husband Zachariah. This is probably what happened. So again, you can see that you have a situation where Mary didn't know how she's going to give birth to this amazing Son of God. But Archangel Gabriel said that don't worry, the Holy Spirit will guide you. So we know very well that there is this situation where Mary conceived through Zachariah and gave birth to Jesus, who is the only begotten Son of God. Now, if Elizabeth, who knew that Mary is going to be the mother of the Son of God, and she was filled with the Holy Spirit, she should have accepted this situation, but she couldn't accept it. She couldn't accept it, and because of that, Mary had to leave before the birth of John the Baptist. So if we compare Mary and Eve, we can see that an angel induced Eve to commit the fall. Now, another angel brought Mary to God for the fulfillment of his will. Mary deceived her husband to be Joseph and her father by having this illicit love relationship with the chief priest. Do you think Mary could discuss with her father or Joseph about how she had conceived her baby? These are the words of true father, okay? So, Mother Mary was risking her life because in those days, an adulterous woman would be stoned to death. So, we have the principle of reversal here. Mary had to conceive the Son of God at the risk of her life. And if she remained with the household of Zachariah and Elizabeth, then the chief priest would have protected her. But we know very well that she was driven out. She had to leave. And that made Jesus the illegitimate child. And Joseph, an angel also appeared to Joseph because Mary was betrothed to Joseph. But Joseph knew that this child, Jesus, is not from him, which means that he knew that his future wife, Mary, committed an adulterous relationship, conceived Jesus, and Joseph was given the prophecy, or rather advice, to accept it. But Joseph and Mary went on to have their own children, and Jesus was raised in the household of Joseph, with Joseph understanding that he's the illegitimate child of theirs. Joseph was always wondering, who is the father of this child, Jesus? And when they were 12 years old, when Jesus was 12 years old, they brought Jesus to Jerusalem, and they left Jerusalem without knowing that Jesus was not with them. And they had to come back to look for him, and he was in the temple talking to the, to the religious leaders. 12-year-old boy, but So which means that Jesus was raised in the family of Joseph and Mary as the illegitimate child without much love. Okay? So this is a situation when we compare Mary and Eve and also consider how Jesus must have been, how he was treated as he was growing up in the family of Joseph and Mary. The main mistake was Zachariah as the chief priest and Elizabeth should have protected Mother Mary and Joseph and kept them in their household. And if Jesus had been raised up in the household of Zachariah and Elizabeth, it would be a very different situation. And also, God prepared 3 wise men who are representative of the world. They came and presented special gift to Jesus, correct? The 3 wise men. So Jesus was born not just for the Israelites, the chosen people. Jesus was prepared for a world mission as the Son of God. And you think about it, these 3 wise men must have been in very important people in the various places they are from. They must be working with the royal family where they are from. And why is it that they presented the gift at the humble place where Jesus was born and they left? If Jesus was born in a household of Zachariah, it's fitting. They will remain and would have educated Jesus. But they left because they found Jesus being born in a poor manger, yeah, with all the horses. This is another very sad situation. So we have to understand, because of the amazing, conditions based on the principle reversal, Satan could not make any accusation against the birth of Jesus. That's why even in Mary's womb, Jesus was already the only begotten Son of God. That's the very words from True Father. So we have to understand that these are the circumstances of how Jesus was born. Now, if Jesus had been raised up in the household of Zachariah and by the 3 wise men, don't you think that John the Baptist would have then totally united with Jesus and supported Jesus? And also the disunity between Elizabeth and Mary was something inherited from the disunity between Leah and Rachel, because Leah, the eldest sister, could not submit to Rachel. Rebecca was supposed to guide the 2 daughters-in-laws, but because of the cooperation did not take place, the condition was set for which Elizabeth could not submit to Mary. But we have to understand that Jesus was born as the only begotten Son of God. That's very, very, very important. And even though Mother Mary made mistakes subsequently, but she was able to give birth to the only begotten Son of God. No woman has done that before. She must have an amazing purity of heart to allow for God to arrange the birth of the first begotten Son of God. That's very, very, very important understanding. So here again, you have to understand that Jesus' father was not Joseph. So there is this very difficult situation for which, based on the principle of reversal, that Jesus could be born without sin. Yeah. And I already explained this in previous presentation. You have to understand that sin came from Adam and Eve, who were sinless. They were born without sin. So we have to first ask, how could sin come from sinless Adam and sinless Eve? If this is possible, if we know how the fall took place, if we reverse that, Satan participated in the first marriage blessing centered on Satan, which is Adam and Eve. So their sexual relationship was completely invaded. So because Satan could participate in the love relationship between Adam and Eve, sin could come to the world, into the world, original sin. And that created Satan's lineage, love, and life. In the same way, here we have a situation where Zachariah and Mary, they are not sinless. They are sinful. But because of the principle of reversal and conditions laid down, God could participate in this relationship, and Jesus could be born as the only begotten Son of God, the second Adam. And you can have a situation where if Jesus was received and a marriage blessing took place, God's lineage, love, and life could have come about from Jesus. But that did not take place. But the most important understanding is that how is it possible that you have to change a blood lineage that Jesus could be born without sin? That's a fundamental change of blood lineage that took place. And you went through all the 5 women and the key women of the Bible to understand how this reversal took place, because we understand the fall of man as sexual sin. Okay. So this is a very, very important understanding. And because we cannot understand the essence of Jesus, it's also for us very difficult to understand the essence of true mother as the only begotten daughter of God. So mother did not have to come from the lineage of King David and Jesus. As long as sufficient condition is made, God can participate in two fallen man and woman, husband and wife. And a daughter, the only begotten daughter of God, could be born without sin. This is as much as I like to share